I left off yesterday talking about how the Haitian president was assassinated and how it's not really being covered in the news. Like, a president of a prominent black country was taken out by what looked to be insurgents and paramilitary troops, and by all claims, self-reported claim, an American, like, spec ops type guy. I was talking about in the previous video, this guy was walking outside, and there's a group of people. This guy had, after the execution of the Haitian president, the parties involved tried to exfiltrate. I'm not going to use big words. They tried to leave the scene. And so they were on their way out to leave. And I imagine get in their armored cars, their bulletproof window, like security level 2 bulletproof, explosive proof, not Humvee, but like motorcade style, presidential style, like Black Ops style vehicle. I doubt they were leaving in a regular ass Honda Civic or Ford Taurus. So they were on their way out, trying to not exfil. I keep using military tango slang. They were on their way out to leave, get in their vehicles and get out of Dodge. And a group of people who heard this extensive firefight, who probably wanted to see what was going on and find the perpetrators, because it was kind of obvious. Like, a group of people went to the president's mansion to kill him, and there was a firefight on the grounds, there was a firefight outside the mansion, on the perimeter, on the border of the mansion, there's a firefight inside the mansion. Everyone's dead. Not everyone. I think the president's wife survived. She was airlifted and whatnot to America for some reason, because they felt that's where she would be most safe. I don't know. I'm not big into conspiracy theory, but I'm fairly certain Americans did it, based on the fact that there was a guy there speaking English saying that he was an American and he did it. And so, yeah, so I made a video about that, and I feel all sorts of upset about that. It's not my country, but it speaks to imperialism. It speaks to white privilege. It speaks to all sorts of things. Some people tell me I'm too damn close to the fucking camera. Some people are like, dude, you're too close to the camera. You gotta sit back. And I don't want to sit back because I got my work shirt on. I don't want to show you what my name tag says, or the company logo, for various reasons. So, back to the subject where I left off, was talking about Ukraine, and I was talking about how the Ukrainian government is fighting for their land because Russia's trying to take over. Russia is in fact bombing their civilians, committing war crimes. And most white people are outraged and sympathetic around the world, around America specifically. They are people, business owners, and regular civilians are taking measures. They're throwing out Russian vodka. People are getting fired from their jobs if they're Russian. It's a lot of Ukrainian support, false flag waving Ukrainian support, because you're not allowed to kill white folks, even if you're white folks. You're just not allowed. That is the quickest way to get ostracized, demonized, and have actions taken against you, is if you do something towards white folks. It seems like that's the only thing they really care about. I was talking about the Haitian president. Do you realize? You don't realize. I feel like I feel like I'm having a connection here. No one gave a damn that he was assassinated. And right after he was assassinated, that's the last they ever spoke about him on the news. Like, they stopped talking about this incident. The incident that happened, they stopped talking about the Haitian vice president because American media was trying to have everyone believe that the Haitians did it. And it could have been the Haitian vice president. and that's the last they spoke on it. So governments are being overthrown left and right. Coups are being ushered in and facilitated by Americans and Western leaning powers, and it happens daily, on a daily basis. So much so that if they were to talk about it on the news on a daily basis, that's all they would talk about. So, of course, they have to fill their hour with some happy stories about puppies and kittens and how American police officers were playing basketball with some inner city youths. They just finished a 16-hour shift, and they were on their way home, and they saw, on their way home through Compton or whatever, and they saw these three inner city youths playing basketball, but they needed another man. So let's fill our time on the news, on the nightly news, with feel good stories about how these police officers aren't all bad. And here's the good ones. We'll show you the good ones. They fill the news with frivolous stuff that is inconsequential and unnecessary. Frivolous. So they're not talking about what's going on in Haiti. They're not talking about what's going on in Venezuela. They're not talking about the ethnic cleansing and the genocide that's happening in China. What they are talking about, there's a reason for that. Because, as I alluded to earlier, white people literally only care if other white people are involved. If there's atrocities being done to people of color, so what? If there's atrocities done to white folks, they have news reporters on the news crying about what's happened, literally bawling, crying about what's happening, wiping their eyes, sniffles, being passed Kleenexes, white tears all over the news for these people who are facing atrocities. I don't watch the news as much as I used to. I kind of stick to online news, but not like through Facebook. I'm not one of those people. And I get my news from a variety of different sources. I double fact check pretty much every news source that I allow myself to take in. And I haven't seen too many white folks crying on the news when the Mexican people were being turned away at the borders. Let's talk about the crisis at the border. I've talked about Haiti and Venezuela. I've talked about Ukraine a little bit, and I have to make a separate video about Ukraine because Ukraine it's its own thing. It's its own thing with its own racism and its own racist-ass white people. But I will talk about that in another video. So, for the last 6, 7, 8 years, Mexican people, Venezuelan people, Honduran people have been making a migration to America because they see that there is a possibility for better living, good education, clean water, clean air, freedoms, and building a positive influence in their life. They make sometimes 1,000-mile trek, 2,000-mile trek from Central America through Mexico all the way into America. They do this so that they can have a life worth living that they see on TV. They see these people on TV and they're like, I would like that one day. It's called the American Dream. If you've ever seen A Christmas Story, the movie, the little kid wanted the Ruby Red Ryder revolver BB, double action brake pump BB gun. He wanted that. He saw it on TV. He saw that as a dream to obtain, something worthwhile, something that would irreparably change his life. It did change his life, put his eye out. But these people see this on TV where people have food and a house and a car and paved roads, and they make a harrowing, dangerous journey through swampland with alligators and fucking piranhas and wildlife and howler monkeys. They make a fucking harrowing track on dirt roads in the middle of the night, staying away from the Federale and the Policia. They make a dangerous trip, and they have to pretty much sell their soul to some of these coyotes in Mexico who promise them dreams of freedom and getting them across the border. And if you just give me one night with your 13-year-old daughter, yeah, her chastity will be gone, but you guys, and all of your life savings, every penny you have, and your food, give me that food, that last remaining food you have. You're at the border now, give me your food. You don't need that food. You're almost in dreamland. These people literally, some of them, not all of them, have to sell their soul. Some of them die in the process. Some of them don't make it. Some of them get trafficked, and they do all of this so they can get to the border because the extreme conditions in their country. There are drug lords and kingpins. There's corrupt officials. Kind of like here in America. Nothing's really changed. In their country, there's famine. There's not enough food. You get to the market. We all we all live in a relative privileged time. But it wasn't so long ago when the pandemic broke out and you went to your local supermarket and you looked on the shelves and there was nothing. When you went to your Myers or your Kroger or your Jewel Osco or your Dominic's gone, or your Whole Foods or your Tony's Finer, when you went to the grocery store, you couldn't find shit on the shelves. There's no toilet paper. White folks are buying 17 bundles of toilet paper. They're coming in with I had to make a video on that. White folks, man, y'all are a trip. Y'all are a trip. I seen some shit. I ain't been alive that long. I've seen some shit. Motherfuckers out here buying every single thing of toilet paper so that they can resell it on eBay and try to make $50 a fucking roll. Like, why? Y'all motherfuckers are a trip. Not all of you. Some of you were my allies, and we appreciate you guys out there putting yourselves on the line for civility and equality. Some of you, not enough of you. Some of you. So these Latinos, these Mexicans, these Hondurans, these Venezuelans, these Salvadorians, these Ecuadorians, these Peruvians, these people are putting their bodies on the line to get to the border. Some of them have to sell their body when they're almost at the border just to make it to the border. And then they get to the border and they claim when they get to the border and they try to claim refugee status because there's narco wars going on in their land, or there's corrupt officials or what have you. There's disease and destruction and famine running rampant. They're being turned away. And they've been getting turned away. So then they have to resort to sneakier tactics to make it in because they're almost free. They're almost here. They're almost set free. They're almost good. They're almost at a place where there's no supply. There's no shortage of demand for work here in America. There's no shortage for a supply of demand for work. There's lots of jobs that need to be filled. There's millions of jobs that need to be filled. There's tens of millions of jobs that can be filled tomorrow if there were people to fill those jobs. I'll get into supply and demand and economics in another video because I feel like this would go on for an hour just talking about that, and I don't want to get into that. It seems pompous if I just pretend like I know too much about that. I'll let Hassan Piker talk about that. I might link to one of his videos about that. But, taking an economics class in college doesn't make me an authority. It's just having lived experience and understanding what's going on. It still doesn't make me an authority. It just makes me aware and being able to convey that thing. I think Hassan Piker does a really good job at that. Be that as it may, the guy wears too many. Let me stop. Get ire and hatred from his millions of followers. So the Mexican migrants get here. They claim asylum. They say that they're political refugees. They can't go back. They'll be murdered along the route. Like, some of them have to make promises they know they can't keep to these coyotes. And one thing you need to know about a coyote is they're essentially gangbangers. You don't steal from a gangbanger. You don't skim off the top of the drugs from a gangbanger. Like, they'll chop your legs. They'll leave you hanging from your neck from an overpass for the world to see. And when they're driving the next group of political prisoners to the border, they'll point out their handiwork. You see right there? That was a woman who lied to me. She said she can give me the $3,000. She don't give me the $3,000. That's it for her. And you don't even want to know what we do to her daughter. And like, that's my worst Mexican accent. You don't even want to know what we do to her daughter. Let's just say you gotta give me my money or you're gonna find out real quick. Like, you don't wanna fuck over coyotes, and they will gut you right then and there. It's a lawless profession. There's no rules. They make it up as they go, and they've been doing pretty good at it. So they get to the border and they claim asylum, and some of them, a lot of them, most of them get turned away. Most of them get turned away, and they get just sent right back. And on the news, when you're listening to these white folks' news media channels, they talk about how it's a revolving door. All they have to do is claim asylum, and then America was like, just go. And here's a court date, and come back for your court date. And then the white racist news media will talk about how, oh, they don't even show up for their court date, when the statistics show that 99% of them do show up for their court date to seek asylum. You know why they show up for their court date? Because they want to live here and they don't want to be fugitives. And like 80 to 90% of the people who actually get their court date, 80 to 90% of the people who actually get their court date, they get rejected for the refugee status and their asylum claims. It didn't used to be that way, but they started a race war in America, and they decided we don't need all these brown folk living here. America's getting too brown. We don't like this. Start sending them back. They decided this during the Bush era. Obama continued it, and Trump ramped it up. They actually called Obama the deportation in chief. They said that he deported more undocumented migrants than any other president in like history. And then Trump, he said, "Hold my beer." He said, "Anything you can do, I can do better." He said, "I'm not going to let this black guy out deport me." He said, "I'll raise you one." He said, "How much is that? How many chips you got in there?" He said, "I'll raise you one. You're deporting them? I'll rip them away from their families, and I'll put their kids in cages like dogs. I'll starve them. I'll give them comically racist food. I'll give them one Totino's frozen burrito a day. This is inhumane." And there was really a crisis at the border. This is the sickest thing I've ever had to live through. It's so sick. Here in America, kids, children, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old children, impressionable children, the time when your mind is growing the most and you're learning the most about the world, the time where like irreparable damage can happen to your subconscious, your psyche, your developmental state. As a child, being ripped away from your parents, thrown into a cage, like a chain link cage for like dogs, and then stacking you on top of each other like slave ships, like literally just. And if this cage could hold 30 dogs, they've got 50 human beings in that cage. It was so many people in these cages. There were stories that the people had to like climb on the cage to get a deep breath of air, because it's 50 people all breathing that same air all at once collectively, and like it's hard to breathe in that situation. It's not claustrophobia. It's not the idea that you can't breathe. It's that there's not enough oxygen to fill your lungs because of displacement in science. If you know about displacement. If you don't, Google displacement. So these kids were getting sick and falling ill, and I think at one point, in like a 2-day period, they were catching the flu, and I think they said 20 people died, 20 children, not people, 20 little impressionable, innocent children who were just following their parents. They don't even get a say so. Remember being a 6-year-old? Mom, I want McDonald's. Well, you're getting broccoli and ground beef, or whatever, You're getting a potato and whatever white, parsnips, whatever white folks eat. You don't get a say, oh no, they get a say so. Fucking, shut up, Karen. I want McDonald's now. Okay, Timmy. But if you call me Karen, you get a timeout. And go sit in the corner with your video game and think about what you've said to me. So that was a story. And that was one of the stories that was coming out because of this horrible policy to criminalize brown folks for being brown, coming to America because of the issues that happened in their country, loosely and generally related to American supremacy and policies of destabilizing brown people governments, starting a narco war, Iran, Contra. Come on now, does anybody remember that? Do you know that Fidel Castro was in Google Iran, Contra, and Google Sandinistas. Just do a little research. I'm not gonna. This video's already 20 minutes, so these people are in cages, being treated like animals, all because we want to dehumanize and criminalize brown folks who are literally a valued member of society. They're necessary for our economy. That's how economics works. You get the most bang for your buck for the least amount. And these people are coming over here willing to work, wanting to work for the least amount. They're going to undercut anybody. Healthcare? What's that? I was drinking brown water for the last 20 years. I eat a quarter of what the average 12-year-old American eats. In caloric intake, I eat a quarter of what the average American eats. Calorie wise, in a day. The average American's eating cheeseburgers and fries. I'm eating cactus and maize tortillas, homemade tortillas. I'm eating cactus and tomato and onion. Like I work for cheap, and that's criminalized, even though it's needed, and it's only criminalized because these people are brown. Take it back to me again for a second. I live in a Polish neighborhood. There's a lot of Polish immigrants here. I have nothing against immigrants at all. I think they're valuable people. They add to the culture. There's no American culture outside of native culture. And I don't know too many natives because they were massacred by these devils. And there's a few of them left. And it's arguable what they remember of their culture because of how their parents were massacred. You got to piece together stuff and try to remember things. So let me just get back to where I live. There is a large Polish immigrant population here, and they work for cheaper than the average contractor. A lot of them are builders and carpenters. They come here doing manual labor. They have hands, they have arms, they have legs, and they just want to swing a hammer. They want to make a living for their family. They come here and they work their ass off, and they send their kids to junior college or college, and then their kids help them make a better life. It's a big circle. It's just an economy. It's just how it works. No one's saying shit about these people because they're being granted visas. That's another video about how the government chooses which countries and how many people are allowed from those countries. That's a whole nother video. But that's the system that these people have created, and that Donald Trump, in his last couple of years, he decided to make it harder for immigrants to come to America. He decided to make there more loopholes, and the visa lottery got a lot harder to win. If you're unclear about what the visa lottery is, please YouTube visa lottery. That's a whole nother video I'm not going to touch on. So these people from brown countries usually don't get visas. They're not allowed to come here en masse, like the Polish neighborhood I live in. They're not allowed to come here, so they try to come here under the rules, they fly under the radar here. I'm not even going to say illegally because I don't think you can be an illegal citizen in a stolen land with illegal, like, British people didn't ask to come, like, stop, I'm rambling. One complete thought at a time. So, they just want to come here and work. And the most heinous thing that I can remember was when Haitians were, and this is literally last year. This is not 2 years ago when Trump was in office. This is last year after what do they call Biden? Crime Bill Biden. 1990s Crime Bill Biden. He decided to pretty much close the border and continue with what Trump was doing, and by an extension, Obama, the criminalization of brown folks coming here. Haitian people were trying to get in through the border too. They were claiming political asylum and refugee status. And I remember, and this is after years of Trump. Trump was being a devil for years to these people, these innocent, hardworking, kind-souled people just trying to come here and work. Not like come here and be homeless, like work. And when the Haitian refugees started coming in, I remember they were being abused. Border control and border security, they started deputizing random white folks in America, just like slave catcher style. 400 years ago, they started just randomly deputizing these random ass white folks to, hey, if you've got a gun and a 4x4 pickup, you got a Ram 1500 series, or if you've got a Ford F-250 with the lift kit, you got the fog lights, you got the 1600 watt halogen heat lamps, and you got a shotgun and a machine gun. Hey, just round them up. I deputize you. It's like Oprah. You get a badge, and you get a badge, and you get a badge. And badges for everybody. Just go round up the brown folk. And you can kill them if you want. You can just say you feared for your life. This is my southern accent. You feared for your life. And, mum's the word. They can't complain when they're dead. And that's pretty much what was taking place. People were being killed. It's not making it on the news. People were being beaten. People were being shot with rubber bullets. People were being tased. People were being disappeared. Like, a lot of immigrants were just being murdered in the middle of the night. So much so that people were afraid to travel by themselves. Like, it'd be a family, like a 4-unit family. Wife, dad, 2 kids. Wife, dad, cousin, kid. They'd be traveling as a unit. That shit had to stop because they were getting word back that people were being murdered. So they started traveling because you travel light, you travel fast, right? That's the impetus. That's just a saying. You travel in a big group, you're easier to spot. But you travel light and you get taken out faster. It's only 3 of you. That's it. 3 bullets. 2 shotguns and 1 revolver. The good old boys, good old Proud Boys, patriots. We're protecting our borders. We gotta keep these dirty immigrants out. America. That mentality needs to go the way of the dodo bird. That I'm protecting my borders. I don't even live in this state. I travel through the whole state of Texas just so I can round up and shoot me some Mexicans. Yeehaw. Like that's white folks here. They literally think that this is a war. These guys come with buckets of water so they don't die in the desert. They come with 3 gallons of water and the clothes on your back and shoes that are fucking half ripped up because you've just trekked 1,000 miles. And you're tired, you got a crink in your back and your neck, and you're just trying to protect your wife and your daughter, and you're walking, and here comes up on you some hillbilly redneck and his buddy Jebediah, or Billy Joe, and their shotguns and their machine guns, and they're just like speaking a different language that you don't understand, shouting at you and screaming at you and riding around you, trying to run you over with a pickup truck. And when you start running for your life, you don't understand what they're saying, then they start shooting at you. So that was going on. So these immigrants started, uh, a lot of these people started coming together in groups because just for safety. Like if there's 15 of you, you can spread out and they can't catch all of you. Can't kill you all. And that's just so sad. That's where we are here in America. I've never saw somebody who's here illegally or undocumented and been mad at them, because I know behind every undocumented worker, there's a white person who's supposed to be in jail for paying that person and taking taxes out of their check, for tax evasion and hiring and aiding and abetting. For every last one of them, not for every last one of them, there's got to be a ratio. For like every 15 of them, there's at least one white person who's supposed to be in jail. Like if you want to kick them out, you want to send them to jail, send the white folks. That's never a part of the conversation. And it's not even that. Like, I don't want them to go to jail or be kicked out. Like, fucking hell yeah. Have you been to restaurants? Food tastes a lot better nowadays. Food fucking tastes better now. I remember when I was a kid and food tasted bland. You would go to the Olive Garden and that shit tasted... I'm paying $15 for this? Go to Olive Garden now. That shit's fire. All right? Like, food's hot now, all right? Food's on point now. They're seasoning. Motherfuckers back there know how to use this. They don't go, shh, shh. Well, that's it for the whole steak. Like, it's not just that I want them there for service. It's like, honestly, that sounded kind of pompous, but they should be able to come. And the thing is, I rambled on for like 10 minutes. Haitians, I got off topic. Haitians started coming through the Mexican border along with what Trump was calling the caravan. Caravan, like such a stupid name. So Haitians decided, hey man, our country sucks right now too. It's been destabilized because of it's been destabilized because of the world economy market, the Dow and the Nasdaq and oil prices, which is collectively held onto. It's orchestrated by NATO, the North Atlantic Trade Organization, even though they operate in the Pacific, etc. Like, you can destabilize a person's country just by affecting the flow and the price of oil. That's just oil. Just one thing. You can destroy a whole country. You can destabilize and destroy a country by affecting the price of grain. All of these things Americans and Western powers do on a daily. So the Haitians started coming to up through Central America, and they started making their way in through Mexico, and they would make the actual trek all the way the fuck up along the right side. These Latinos, Mexicans, Latinx people. I remember Kamala Harris's.
Nope.
She got on the TV, and after all this video footage of white folks just abusing these Haitians, like riding up on them with horses and hitting them with whips and shooting them with bean bags and rubber bullets and beating them and having your horse rear up and kick people in the head. People literally from Haiti were just trying to come to America and work. They were demonized worse than the Mexicans and the Latinos. They were demonized like at least twice as bad. And it was at that point when the black immigrants started coming that they totally militarized the border. Like, they literally something Trump was talking about doing, Biden did. They militarized the border. Fucking Reaper drones flying 7,000 feet in the sky with nighttime imaging FLIR systems, like low light infrared FLIR. Like they're doing that now harder than they've ever done it. And Kamala Harris came on the TV and she said, go back to your countries. America's full. She said the same thing Trump said, but they only said it when black and brown immigrants started coming. The multi-pronged reason for that, from my understanding, is that Kamala Harris wants to make a good impression. That statement is loaded. Good impression for who? Is it for black and brown people who voted her into office? Is it for the millions and more black and brown people who came out to vote in record numbers just so they can get rid of Moscow Mitch and Donald Putin Trump? Is it to make a good impression on the progressives and the liberals? No, she's literally trying to make a good impression on racist white America because she's hoping to win some of them over in the midterm based on her racist policy of being barbaric to these people. We got what we got, and there's not much we can do about that. We got racism and white supremacy nonstop, and that's all we get. That's all we're ever gonna get. I do have questions though. Like I want to know something. When the black immigrants came from Haiti and they came up into Central America and Mexico, and they made the trek up to the United States border, and they tried coming in illegally on stolen land. Kamala Harris came out quick as hell to say that go back to your land, America's full, we don't need any more immigrants. She did the Trump thing. She did it on TV. She was quick as hell to say that to these black people. The Ukrainian war, the Russian instigated Ukrainian war. When there's cries for refugees, these white people from Ukraine who have fled their country, they're going into Romania, they're going into Latvia, they're going into all of the neighboring Baltic states. They're going into some places in Poland if they can get across. They're fleeing. When the world decides that they need to take in refugees, I remember the Canada was like, hey, we'll take in some Syrians, we'll take in some Yemenis, we'll take in, like, the United States was like, we'll take some in, and white people were super racist, like, all across the board. Liberals, moderates, Republicans, Democrats, everyone, they were all super racist. These Middle Easterns, you gotta vet them, racism, and we don't want these people. You gotta vet them. You gotta vet these people. Can't let these Middle Easterns. Next thing you know, there's gonna be some halal place that sells delicious falafel, and I'm gonna be mad because they don't have enough tzatziki sauce. Like that's white folks in America. And that's also white folks. When I imagine when Kamala Harris came on the TV and she said, we don't want you here. You have to go back to your country. Stop coming here. And then they totally militarized the border, which doesn't get much coverage. I imagine those same white folks were like, yeah, all right. All right. She's half black, but she's also half Indian. Yeah. Yeah, and they're brown, but they're not black. So yeah, so she's like I imagine that's what white folks think when she said that racist shit. Now, when the Ukrainians start needing a place to stay, Kamala Harris, are we still full? Are we still full? There's no more room. Is there room now? I thought we were full. And it will happen. It's just a matter of time before America starts accepting refugees. I don't know that they're not doing it right now and just not covering it on the news. Because there's a lot of media blackout when things are concerning this kind of thing. There's a lot of media blackout. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in closed, in dark rooms where people are all hush-hush about it and no one says a fucking word. Mum's the word, nobody has to know. Next thing you know, it'll be a story on the news 3 months from now after they've already done it. America has accepted 17,000 refugees from Ukraine and the Baltic states. America's accepted 18,000, 20,000 Ukrainian. I thought we were full. I saw like 400 people from Haiti. They were like, nah, niggas, shit. Sorry, bruh. It's like that dude in jail be rubbing his hands all the time when he about to tell you some bad news. I know you won't get in here, but sorry, bro, man. Let me come holler at you. I know it looks, the swimming pools and the white bitches with the titties and the blonde, man, I know you want to, but bruh, we don't want you. You gotta have to go back to your home. I can't believe Kamala Harris said that shit. She would have been the only one who could say it. Biden couldn't say that and keep his popularity. She had to take one for the team. She literally had to take one for the team. I know she didn't want to say it. Actually, I don't know she didn't want to say it. I know her history. Like, I follow politics. She is shake the magic eight ball, cloudy at best. Like, she is cloudy at best. She is not for the cause. But I do want to know: is America still full Kamala Harris? As much as I hate the,
Nope.
she is still the vice president. I will respect her enough to say her name the way her mother says it and the way she asks for it to be said. I will not call her Kamala Harris. That's all the respect I'm giving her though, because she's forwarding and perpetuating systems that need to be broken down. We went a long way from yes we can. We went to is this really happening? Tell me this ain't happening. To oh my god, thank God we finally got these people out. To oh what? I didn't know you were gonna be like the same. I thought you were gonna do something. But, so I think we need a third party. We need a Bernie party. We need a progressive party. I don't even care if we lose a couple of elections. Like, we need a party that's for the people. Because if we just stick with Republican and Republican light Democrat, and then that's all we have, not much will change. If you did stick with me for this long, once again, thanks for liking my content. If you did like it, if you're a hate watcher, keep on hate watching. I need the views. Tell your friends too. If you're a hate watcher specifically, tell all your hateful friends. Tell your angry racist mom, the Karen in the Walmart. Tell her, and tell your dad. Watch my shit. Don't try to find me. No, don't try to find me. But watch my shit, and we'll see you in the next one.